What is up, Fan X family? It's your boy Ro coming at you one more time. Hey, and we got a very special, extra special live stream virtual panel edition coming up today. Because guess what? The day of today, October 20th, 2020, guess what happened? Yep, the newest edition of the Tremors cult classic movie franchise just went ahead and dropped. That's right. Tremors Shrieker Island is out. We can go ahead and own it digitally, Blu-ray, all these things. And guess what? We're fortunate because the good people over at Universal hooked it up. We have two of the actors from that movie, the stars of the movie, actually, Michael Gross and Jon Heder. They're going to be joining us. This panel is going to be moderated by our good friend, Tony Toscano. And remember, you can go ahead and comment your questions in the comment section. So if you're on our social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, go ahead and start racking that brain for any and all comments, because one thing that we like to go ahead and do is we like to go ahead and make it as personal as possible. So anything you want to ask Michael, anything you want to go ahead and ask John, you'll see the criteria on the pinned comment section of what to go ahead and ask. You can go ahead and be picked to go ahead and ask those questions. Also, make sure that nobody else misses this. So if you want to go ahead and share this, friends, family, anything, click that share button. Make sure everyone sees it, because they're not going to want to go ahead and miss out. We have the debut of the movie, two of the stars from the movie. It's going to be a blast. A couple of housekeeping announcements before we go ahead and get started. Remember that our physical FanX event is always go ahead and brought to you by our good friends over at Siegfried and Jensen. Make sure you guys go ahead and check them out. Show them some love. On top of that, also, it's, you know, we live in an era where if you can't come to us, we're going to come to you virtually, right? But guess what? In 2021, we plan on having another FanX physical event. That's right. You can head over to our website, fanxsaltlake.com. Go ahead and get your tickets now, because we're making it as affordable as possible for you to go ahead and party with us, join us, talk all things comic, all things pop culture, especially Tremors, right? Go ahead and go ahead and get your tickets. Go through the promotion, because the tickets are the most affordable they're ever going to be. Go ahead and make sure you cop that. And also, while you're there, we even have these awesome glow-in-the-dark merch masks. Yeah, that's right. You can go ahead and check all that stuff out over on our website. Without further ado, though, I really want to go ahead and say this. We feel so fortunate that we have these two gentlemen on the panel today, moderated by Tony. Hey, you pick up your tickets, you pick up your merch, you're about to go ahead and see this live panel. You can comment your questions. Look, we already have one comment. Can we check out the trailer to the movie? I don't know if Universal let us do that, but you know what? I have it anyway. Check this out. Courtesy of our good friends. This video is courtesy of Universal Pictures Home Entertainment. They've gone ahead and sent it over. Here is the trailer for the newest installment in the Tremors movie franchise, Tremors Shrieker Island. Check this bad boy out right here. Woo! That was amazing. Thank you. And of course, that video was courtesy of Universal Pictures Home Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without further ado, let me go ahead and populate this live stream with our moderator, Mr. Tony Toscano.
Hey, thanks, Ro. You did a great job. That was wonderful. Welcome, everybody, to Tremors Shrieker Island, our virtual event with FanX. I want to remind everybody, Ro did a great job, but I want to remind you, too, that it is on sale today. We're celebrating 30 years of Tremors, 30 years of Burt Gummer, and we have a great event, and this is your event. We want you to ask questions. Feel free to ask whatever you want. We're not going to give up any spoilers, but what we are going to do is we're going to have a lot of fun. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together virtually for Michael Gross and Jon Heder.
Hello, hello.
I'm doing it for everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
As with,
we have to hear it. We have to hear it.
I'll give you a standing one. As with all of our events, I try to ask the first question, and then hopefully we'll have our vast audience, kick in. So the first question I have is for both of you. At what age and why did you decide to become an actor? Michael, you take it.
Oh, I was an undergraduate in college. I think I was bitten by the bug when I walked into. I was an anthropology major. I walked into a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. It was on campus. It was free. That helped. I had some time between classes. Walked into that production of Midsummer Night's Dream. It all made sense to me for the first time. Shakespeare. Long story short, the man who directed that production became a lifetime friend. My first acting teacher, mentor, lifetime friend, and 36 years ago, the best man at my wedding.
Terrific. John, the question's in your court.
You got married, Michael? That's unbelievable. No comment. What the acting bug bit me hardcore. It was kind of like, my older brother was always kind of the lead of all the high school plays, and I did like children's educational theater in the town where I grew up, and I liked it, but I hadn't learned how to really step out of my skin, so we were always cast as just background. But then it was kind of in high school. My brothers and I loved making videos, and we would do it for any kind of class project, any chance we could, whether it was for an assignment or just for fun or messing around. We made videos. And so, you're always going to be in your own videos. So that was kind of the first time I was acting, but we loved goofing off, and we loved doing that. So that was really kind of the beginning, but it wasn't until college that I started taking an acting class. And it was my first acting class that I think I caught the bug then. I was like, this is really fun. This is something I can actually kind of wrap my head around. And yeah, I think that's kind of how it all started.
Sounds like it was undergraduate for both of us then.
Yeah, and it stayed undergraduate for me, unfortunately.
We're going to start taking some fan questions, but I want to ask you, John, were you a fan of the Tremors series growing up?
Absolutely not. Oh shit, this is live. Just kidding. Oh no, yeah, I love. I saw the first one. Truth be told, I saw the first one. I think everybody saw the first one, and I think it was one of the first movies that really was like, it's horror, but it's comedy. It's not like, you don't have to. It's not super dark. It's not super scary. It's more just a lot of fun, like fun horror films. It's perfect mix of comedy and horror, and we didn't get a lot of those. I think this was one of the first ones where you could as a viewer, kind of feel safe, but also really have just a fun time. And I remember that about Tremors. So, all the more reason to get excited when I got the call.
So glad it happened.
Yeah.
Well, I think it happens to everybody sooner or later with Tremors. Let's take our first question. Here we go. Did you do any of your own stunts or any stunts, or were there any stunts that they wouldn't let you do for Shrieker Island?
I don't know if Jon Heder knows this for sure, but
I know everything.
I did do a few stunts, and I continually have new and interesting and innovative ways to hurt myself, and I did, in fact. John, do you remember I had some shoulder pain?
Yeah.
Okay, and had to do all the stuff. Yes, I tore my rotator cuff.
Oh my.
Yeah.
2 weeks into it, we still had several weeks to go, and so I existed on painkillers and muscle relaxant, and had the surgery in June, and I'm now going to getting PT and stuff like that for the shoulder, getting my range of motion back. So I'll soon be handling machetes again one of these days. And But I've hurt myself on several of these films. I do the stunts where your face has to be in the stunt. It's got to be your face and that sort of thing. Otherwise, I turn it over to somebody else because I'm too old for this nonsense. So I did it. I broke a couple ribs in Tremors 5. I blew out my knee in Tremors 3. I'm having a great time.
After
you blew our mind in Tremors 4. No.
After 7 films, 30 years, what has surprised you about Burt Gummer? How has he changed over 30 years?
Well, I'll be very brief and say that what we've tried to do in the past couple films, with the help of some fine writing and Don Michael Paul at the helms, our director, is we've tried to have some personal challenges for Burt aside from the monsters. In this one, this latest one, there is a female who basically calls him on his entire lifestyle. Like most females with men, she basically says, "You're doing it all wrong," she's like a kind of wife, saying, "Nah, you can do better than that," or "Why the hell are you doing it that way?" So we have somebody challenging. So we try to challenge him in ways that are not just the killing of monsters. And we did it in Tremors 5 with his son coming out of nowhere for this misanthrope who suddenly has some young man coming into his life saying, "Hi, I'm your son and I'm your new best friend." He hated that. And in Tremors 6, a whiff of mortality, as he had been injected with some graboid venom, and he had to imagine a little bit what would it be like if there was life, a world without Burt Gummer. So we've tried to challenge him emotionally as well as in these films, as well as just the monster hunting, and that's made it a lot more interesting for me, I must say.
Let's bring up another question from our audience. Why did you decide to join this movie, John?
Why not? Seriously. Because I can hang out in places like this. Jungle 360, baby. Why did I decide? Yeah, because I got the call and it was a straight up just, hey, the new Tremors film. And when I heard they're shooting in Thailand, getting to do play with Michael Gross, I don't think when I first saw him, I don't know if he remembered that we had met years and years ago at, I believe, a Sundance screening of some film. And I always remembered that because he was one of the very first famous people, celebrities that I met. So I was pretty excited about that and to kind of come full circle. But I was very excited because this was really, and I tell people even after shooting it, and I was hoping it would become this, was getting to do an action film. I've always been very interested in just getting in there, and whether it's like, doing some gunplay or running around or doing stunts. So it was a lot of, boxes I got to check and tick off. And it was so much fun because I was able to do an action film in Thailand. It was amazing. That's why I said yes.
Is that part of your process when you accept a role? Do you look at the physicality of a role?
Yeah, every role you're looking, what can you bring to the role, but you're also thinking, I mean, certainly without giving too many spoilers, there were scenes in this I was just like envisioning, like, oh my gosh, we're covered in mud. Oh my, like I'm literally covered head to toe in mud. I was like, I can't wait to do that. And then like leading up to the moment, you're like, I knew this was going to happen. I was going to like, do we really have to cover ourselves in mud? Crud. But it was a dream. I mean, you get to play in the mud, and literally. And yeah, you think about every single role for sure. And especially this one, you're like, what am I going to do? Can I pull this stunt off? Can I do this? And then so when you get on set, you are talking to the director and he's talking to you like, what do you think you can do? Can you do this? Can you run around? And sometimes I was like, no. Put the stuntman aside. I've got this. And it was a lot of fun.
Let's take another question from our audience. I pre-ordered Shrieker Island on Amazon. Is there a hope that we get more Tremors movies in the future? Michael?
All right. Let me just say that without giving anything away, there are a lot of surprises in Shrieker Island, and I would say that these sequels are driven by sales. That simple. Let's admit it. Show business is 5% show, 95% business. So I don't know what Universal intends to do with this, but what their plan is. But sales drive these things. So if people like it, it's entirely possible they would come again and say, Michael, please come back, do another film, but this time without Jon Heder.
Oh, come on.
Wow. That's a little mean.
I guess this will determine.
He's meaner than I am. He's meaner than I am. You wait and see.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm younger and my ego still has yet to be bruised.
Let's take another question. Michael, what is your favorite Tremors movie?
Well, thank you. It's always the last one. Believe it or not, I've not seen this yet, so I'm very curious to see it. They gave me a link to see it, and it had about 6 passwords, and I threw up my hands and said,
"Same as me.
Please just send me a DVD." So I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to that, and then I'll be able to answer after that. Naturally, the first one is hard to follow. The first one was a great one, and everybody remembers that. My second favorite was Tremors 4, where I played my own great-grandfather or grandfather? Anyway, I played an ancestor, and because of the arc of the character, he started out as a total snob from the East Coast, wanted nothing to do with the people in this little town of Rejection, Nevada, and came to love it. So there was that movement from one place to another as the character that I really loved in terms of the arc. It was also a period piece, which I adored. How did people eat? What did they dress? How did they talk? And so we were in the Old West, and it was just a great deal of fun for me. That was my second favorite film. First one, still top of the list.
You have a pretty incredible cast in the film. Can you give us some behind the scenes antics that went on?
John, you were part of that.
I took over the antics. By this time, Michael, I'm in Thailand for Pete's sake. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to waste my time here. I'm going to go have fun. Michael's like, well, granted, Burt has like 1 billion lines in the script. So, and he's giving all the great explanation to these creatures and all this stuff. So he was like, I got to sit by the pool if he must, it's a little distracting, but he kept himself, but he was probably the smarter guy and, learned his lines completely on time. But we had a blast. I mean, we went anytime we had half a day off or a day off, which wasn't a lot, we would go check out the islands. I rented a little motorbike and kind of rode that everywhere. And I kept looking for a bike buddy. But everybody was either like, no, I don't want to ride, or like, I'm not sure, I'm too scared, or and so I got a lot of very cherished alone time. But really, when we all went to go look at some cool Thai temples and go see some of the scenery together, and that was my favorite. Some of our favorite times is hanging out with the rest of the cast.
Michael, tell me. Oh, go ahead. I'm interrupting you. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking of something silly. I mean, these things are good and bad. You talk about antics. This is, John, I'm not giving away too much. There is a scene in a cave.
Yes.
And I had some heavy stuff on my back. And I took a swing with a machete at one point and wound up on the first take on my back in a pool of mud, and with such heavy equipment on that I was like a beetle on his back with my legs. I couldn't get up.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and I didn't want to have to be the one.
I was so angry. I was like, I'm quitting this movie. I'm never doing another film again. I'm so ticked off. And it was so I was so disappointed in myself because I hated to lose the time. It was one of those things where it's all about time. Let's crank out as much as we can. I was so ticked off. And after about 2 hours, and of course I had to change out of my costume, get all new stuff on because I was filthy dirty with mud and all that sort of thing. And I was just sort of ticked off at myself. I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm quitting acting. This is it. I've had it. And about 2 hours later, I said, I hope this is on the blooper reel. I hope this is part of the extras, because it had to have been hilarious as the camera on you and you completely screw up. I mean, you're on your back looking helpless, and the aged action hero I am. What can I say?
I hope it's on the blooper. I mean, I will be honest. I was there. I remember it clear as daylight.
You remember how ticked off I was?
Yes, and I was so awkward because I wish he was joining in the fun. I wanted to laugh so hard because it was such a simple thing, and it was humiliating. But at the same time, I knew you'd get over it immediately. But it was so funny just watching it on the back. I mean, we were wearing these flamethrower packs that were just like, they were real.
Yeah,
they were
these heavy tanks. Yeah,
they were so heavy. And when I remember the first day finishing with those tanks, or I think it was not until the third day shooting when they finally brought on, oh, that's right, we made some stunt tanks. Maybe you guys should just wear those. And they were fake and super light. But for the first while, I think we both threw out our back a couple times because it's oh my gosh, my neck killed. Luckily, they know how to do massages in Thailand, so we were in good hands. No pun intended.
Before we take a question from the audience, again, how was working with Jackie Cruz? I mean, she's a marvelous singer, and she's on Orange is the New Black. I mean, she did that show. How was she to work with?
Great.
A ball of fire. John, you worked with her possibly more than I did, so you take it from here. But I enjoyed Jackie immensely. She was a lot of fun. What I remember most about Jackie is she couldn't keep her hands off of any of the animals are around. She had monkeys, she had snakes, she had birds, and as a result, she also had rabies shots.
Yes, that is for sure.
Got scratched and bitten by several things, and
I mean, she's one of those people who just so loving, giving, wants to just love everything, and especially, the animals. And I remember, I was I grew up as a kid loving animals, but ever since doing movies, those llamas spit at me, and I just don't care for animals. But the first day off she came back to set, and she showed us all the videos and photos of her at an elephant sanctuary, playing with the elephants, and I'm look at you're just hanging out in their pee water, they're just going to the bathroom straight in that water, and you're letting them. It was I think I ruined some of her moments. I feel bad.
John, let's be fair. She hung out in our pee water too. Okay,
That's true.
But Jackie was like Dr. Doolittle. She was the greatest. She just I think they had to reprimand her and say, Jackie, put the monkey down.
Yes.
We have to film. Just put the animal down.
Yeah. And she, the monkey ended up scratching her, and so she had to go get rabies shots. She was all worried, and every single time we come back from set, we were like, "Oh, Jackie's got to go get shots again. We're gonna wait forever. I'm gonna go hop on my bikes, guys. See ya."
Yeah.
No, she was a ton of fun. It was such a diverse. It was really fun to have kind of Jackie, who's from the Dominican Republic, and Caroline from England, and we just had kind of a cast from Cassie from England and as well from around the world, and just from very different backgrounds. And so I remember Jackie really educating us a lot in Dominican culture. She educated you a lot, Michael. I think
I kept telling her I didn't care, but she kept on telling me about the Dominican Republic and whether I wanted to hear about it or not.
No, but yeah, Jackie was awesome. She was a character, and we had a lot of fun times.
Well, let's take some more questions from our audience. What natural elements affected the shoot?
John?
Geez, everything, man. It was paradise there. It was gorgeous. I mean, this is actually a shot I took on just one of the days we were shooting, and it was everywhere I was completely blown away when the very first day we showed up on the set, where it was, you call it set, but it was just natural locations. And they built this outdoor barracks where our huts were and where we stay for most of the movie was all there on this like beach shore that was incredible. I mean, if you saw half the cast at any given moment, someone had the camera out taking a picture of the sunset or the places. So I think the only thing we were beholden to was rain. I mean, obviously, Thailand being known for sometimes just crazy rainstorms. And remember the very first day, Michael, when we were there for boat training, we had to learn how to kind of navigate these long tail boats. And so the very first day of training for that, we had to wait like an hour or so for the rain to settle down because it was just a monsoon. And it was, so yeah, the rain, there was one shot, I'm not sure if it made it into the film. I haven't seen it yet, but one of the most memorable days in my life, not just filming, but in my life, was we were shooting a scene on this longtail boat. And I'm like piloting it, and it was after we're coming back from like a battle with the Shriekers, and you're in the front of the boat, kind of looking heroic, and I'm sitting there holding. And I don't know if they're going to use it because I don't know if the footage was usable. I don't see how you could have seen us. Remember, it was just pouring down so hard that they said, "All right, John, you got to aim for the green light off in the distance, otherwise you're going to hit the shoreline." I mean, it felt like we were truly in a white squall, and it was a real life adventure. I was soaked within seconds and like yelling out. I was like, I don't know if they're getting this. I could say anything to you, and they weren't picking up any audio. They were in a long tail boat just across from us. It was incredible.
Well, it was almost a rain whiteout condition. It was coming down so heavily in a sort of monsoonal way. And that happened a couple times where we just had to stop because you couldn't hear anything because of the rain. The rain was coming down so hard on tarps and other things and microphones and in front of the lens. So we had to stop. But it usually lasted no more than about half an hour. They cleaned up and we go again. Now, that being said, I think the biggest thing for me was heat and humidity. The sun was very hot, so I brought a lot of sunblock. I have a sort of Northern European. I'm very white. I'm very Anglo.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah. Notice that, did you? So I really covered myself with sunblock, brought lots of insect repellent and all that sort of thing just to keep safe. And there is in the film, I have a beard. And the reason I grew my own beard is I knew it was going to be humid, and I did not want to mess with fake hair and glue and all that stuff because I knew it would be coming off entirely. So I took several months before the piece, knowing about the climate, and decided to grow my own beard. I just didn't want to deal with.
It was magnificent. It was beautiful. Well done.
We're going to take another question from the audience, but as we're doing that, I just want to remind everybody that Tremors, Shrieker Island is available as of today. And one of the cool things about the DVD, the Blu-ray, is that it has an incredible bunch of special features. There's a look at all of the creatures from Tremors. There's a wonderful dedication to Michael from the stars of the past movies. So it has a ton of stuff with it. And of course, the movie itself that you can enjoy. So let's take a question and continue our conversation. What was the most dangerous scene you had? Let's start with Michael.
I would say anything around munitions. Now we have, there's things blow up in these films, and it's part of the fun. But it's really, you really have to take care of yourself and guard against you're getting injured in some way, and practicing everything by the numbers before multiple times and getting warnings. I would say probably the thing that came closest, and I'm not giving too much away because I just saw it in the trailer. There are flamethrowers in this, and we've mentioned this already. And when using that, there is a great amount of heat, and that was a little daunting when you're holding one of these things. They had actually put some, and John, they may have done this to you, put some sort of Vaseline or some sort of gel exactly on us, so as to protect our skin from the heat, so he didn't get a first-degree burn. A nice little cherry look from the heat of this thing. So you're always worried about that sort of thing. And as I did say, I hurt myself. It wasn't dangerous per se. It was a bad fall. It was on padding, but things tweaked the wrong way. So that happens. But dangerous, probably anything involving an explosion. I'm very wary of that. John, what about you? You remember something?
I feel like, anytime you saw, we had this guy, they had a guy on set who was like the snake guy. I think we just call him the critter guy. Do you remember? And he would just, we'd show up on set, and sometimes one of the crew guys would be like, hey, check it out. See that guy? You see that bag he's holding? Guess what's in the bag? And this guy would come to set every day. He would always be there first to kind of just scour the jungle and the area to make sure there's nothing dangerous that could slither into our trailers or could bite us during the scene. And it was mostly, and he would have bags of like giant snakes. And one time, I guess he lifted up the water cooler there on set and he sniffed it out. He could who would think to look under it, and he could smell it. And so he lifted up, and there was some nasty, like, not a scorpion. It was like some centipede. It was like a multicolored centipede. It was like, oh yeah, that's a very poisonous centipede. And so, he picks it up with his little tool. So I guess I felt like at any moment it could have been dangerous, but we had that guy. So I felt, somewhat safe. But boy, the women on the cats were always like, I don't care if it bites me. I just don't want to see it. Just don't let me see it.
Jackie, on the other hand, would embrace the snake.
Yeah, of course.
But there was a snake handler, and it was purported that this man could sniff them out, literally. Yeah. John could smell them. I don't know. He was always around, and well, let me just put it this way: I felt a little safer when he was, because there were some poisonous reptiles out there.
Yeah.
After all of that's gone on, Burt Gummer still surprises me. And Michael, I want to ask you about, he's running for president?
Oh, well, yes. Let's just put it this way. Could we do any worse? While for years, several fans have said, Burt Gummer for president, Burt for president, all this sort of thing. It's like a joke on the internet. And so when we were concluding Tremors, we were putting ideas together and said, wait a minute, this is an election year. Why not have Burt run for president? So we've made 8 episodes of Burt putting out his policy positions, and they're running now on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, look up Burt Gummer for president. All the answers are there, folks. You just have to vote. And if I win, and you can write me in, Jon Heder could be the vice president. I'm just putting it out there.
I didn't know that. Or your Secret Service captain or something.
Just Burt Gummer and Napoleon Dynamite are running for president.
The Gummer.
Pedro might not like that. He might be like, he may be your other opponent. There's going to be 2 extra slots on the ballot.
And I won't speak for John, but I'm going to say that weeks after this, if Biden or Trump wins, I am not conceding. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. I'm gonna keep running for 4 years, the entire time the other president is there.
That's going to get expensive, no?
If they win.
Okay.
It depends on how many DVDs that are sold, and then we'll just continue.
That's what it is.
We'll take another question from our audience. If there were to be another movie, where would you like to see it take place?
Where have we not covered? I mean, you were there for all the other ones. I think you guys shot the last 2, I think, in South Africa, correct?
We did, and so it's been our foreign places have been South Africa, and now this last one in Thailand. To me, the place is less important than the circumstances. That is to say, what form these things take, what form the story takes, what are the personal roadblocks, hurdles for Burt in the piece. What does this guy have to deal with aside from the monsters? Because that's always frankly a little more interesting for me. I love the monsters, but it's like he's a complicated guy, and what does he have to deal with? So I don't know. I haven't thought of that. I've actually thought of a way. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if they did do a sequel, I know exactly how it would begin. But aside from that, I don't know where we'd go from there. I must warn people, you probably won't see this ever happen in an urban landscape because it's just too darned expensive to film.
And it's hard for the graboids to break through the concrete underneath, correct?
Yes.
Let's just look at logistics here.
It's science.
Unless they mutate, John.
There's always a mutation. They're going to turn into the T-1000 and they're liquid metal, and they can come through those heat grates. It's all going to work out.
Who knows? I mean, graboids in space? Why not?
Like space eels, and they're just floating around? Yeah.
Space eels. Yeah, nice. Jon, what are the qualities that Jimmy has, the character that you play in Shrieker Island, that you enjoy?
Jimmy, I mean, reading the script, I really liked how he's a scientist. So again, it's always fun to play someone who kind of knows what they're talking about. But he is very much just kind of like the late, he's so easygoing and also ready to to take action because he's kind of the leader of his scientist squad, his group of scientists. He's supposed to be, always, inspiring them and leading by example. But at the same time, he's also very easily, attaches to Burt when Burt shows up, because here's this guy he thinks is like, yeah, cool. This guy knows what he's talking about. He's kind of a rock star. Let's go with that. But, the second Burt says, do you want to try this? Or you want to try that? Sure. Why not? Jimmy's kind of game for whatever. I mean, here's, in one scene, a coworker of his dies, and then the next scene, he's kind of like all fun and games. So we definitely trying to keep it light, but also having Jimmy, having the heaviness there at the same time. But Jimmy is just, he's really just easygoing. And again, he can kind of make every, heavy situation a little bit light with his antics and with his, whether it's his dialogue or just how he approaches each moment. He's just kind of up for fun.
Cool. Let's take another question from our audience.
I must say, let me just very quickly mention Jimmy. I love him because he's the classic example of the common man in an uncommon situation. Burt's been through all this before, whereas Jimmy is like, holy Toledo, this is what's happening. But he's always game, as Jon said, always game, ready to go. I mean, in some senses, he has no choice because he wants to stay alive. Yeah. But I loved Jimmy's, the enthusiasm that Jon brought to it and that Jimmy has in general. But this guy just caught up in a world he never expected to be in, and yet, okay, I'll go with it. Let's do the best we can.
Yeah.
This is a very fun question. Michael, because you've been in all the movies, what is Burt Gummer's favorite weapon of choice? And then, Jon, what was your favorite weapon to use during Shrieker Island?
Jon, you want to take this first?
Okay, so I only have one movie to go off of, the one I was in. And I think, the two weapons, well, actually, no, I use a couple. I loved having the machete, but having the flamethrower is always what, kind of almost that solely was what sold me on the script. However, the chainsaw kind of, I don't want to give too many things away, but Jimmy has a little fun with the chainsaw, and they were, we didn't get to use fake set. I mean, they were fake in that they took like the teeth off the saw, but the weight was there. So swinging this chainsaw around was a good CrossFit workout right there. But the flamethrower just was so cool to wield, and it just looked rad. And so, yeah, I loved the flamethrower.
Michael?
These have somehow all blended together for me in some way. So I forget whether it was Tremors 2 or Tremors 3, but there was a turret mount, double turret, a gun, double-barreled turret mount gun in which I sat, and it was an anti-aircraft gun. And it began either Tremors 1 or Tremors 2, I forget. I think it was, Tremors 2 or Tremors 3. I think it might have been 3. But I was sitting between these two turrets as these barrels are recoiling and I've got hands on the trigger and just and rocking and rolling because this thing is really moving. And so I must say that was a lot of fun because it was one of those classic scenes of Burt shooting all these things, and then all the things are dead. The noise dies down. Burt takes off his ear protection and says, "Any questions?" It was great. I mean, there was, I'm still a kid in some ways. Like, the bigger the gun, the better. And my only regret in all of these is I haven't actually sat in the turret of a Sherman tank and shot it. So, I have my regrets.
Next movie. One of the things that you told me in one of our conversations that we've had, the 1,000 times that we've talked, was that Burt Gummer, for all his ammunition, he's never pointed a gun at another human being.
This is something that began with the first film. And Burt has never seen a gun he hasn't loved. Obviously, he's crazy about his weapons. But this is something that was established in the first 3 films. And all I can say is it became part of the Bible, if you will, that this was going to be family friendly, that this film was never about human beings killing other human beings. It was always about the good guys, the human beings, the bad guys, the monsters. That simple, old-fashioned family fun. If there was a body count, it was a result of these fiendish creatures, not of people killing other people. So in that respect, we wanted to keep that pure. I must say, I felt like a protector of the franchise in some ways after all these years. And in one early draft of this film script, the writer, who was new to it, and said, Burt gets the drop on somebody, and he holds and says, if you don't back off, I'm taking you out. And I said, no, we can't do that. Burt does not point his gun at other people, only monsters. So we've got to find another way to do that. And it's just the way we've wanted to keep it all this time, is family friendly in a way, a family friendly monster movie. So we don't kill other people. There are people killed in this, but it's always by the monsters. In that respect, it feels like an old fashioned horror movie.
Their own stupidity.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. And one of the things I love about Burt, I'll say this, and Burt is about science, is about fact, is very precise, and everything is thoroughly researched. But beneath that tough exterior is a really warm heart, because he will say, "You are an idiot. You haven't listened. You've been a complete fool, but I'm going to save your life. I'm not going to let you die. As foolish and as idiotic as you've been, and as stubborn, by God, I'm going to save your backside." So that's one of the things I love about the guy. He doesn't suffer fools gladly, but he will save their lives if he can.
Very cool. We have time for one last question from our audience. Did Michael have much to say in Burt's character in this movie?
Yeah, I had a lot to do with the prep. Now let me say that there were great people contributing to this, no less than our Brian Brightly, our original, our screenwriter, and Don Michael Paul, our director. But yes, I feel like an advocate for Burt after all this time. I love this guy, and so I had ideas for final polishing of script. If there were, Burt speaks in very particular ways and with a very particular mindset. And so somebody asked me recently, would I do an interview as Burt? And I said, no, I can't do that. As long as I know this guy, I still have to think, how would he say that? Because he's very different from me. He's a man of science, of fact, of follow the facts. If he says a muzzle velocity is 1,460 feet per second. That is it. And you can believe it because he's researched it. He's the Dr. Fauci of weapons, you know what I mean? And so I've always believed he speaks in a very specific way. So sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 drafts to say, how would Burt say this? It's become very important for me. And I'm interested in watching his emotional life through this piece. As I said, in this piece, there's a female who bugs him about his lifestyle. Burt, you've made all the wrong choices, that sort of thing. And Burt doesn't give up anything. He finds a place of comfort, and I always try to find ways where he's knocked out of his comfort zone, not just with the beasts, but with his personal comfort, his emotional comfort. That's the fun of anything. John will agree. He's done a lot of this stuff. Inner conflict is far more interesting than outer conflict. I mean, that's the secret of Hamlet. This guy can't make a decision, and that's why people still love that play. He can't make a decision about what he wants to do, and he goes through the entire play going this or that, to be, not to be, whatever. Inner conflict is fascinating. That's what draws me into a character far more than the monsters in some ways.
When Burt is blowing a graboid to smithereens, he's really just blowing a piece of his dark psyche to smithereens.
Wow. And with that,
thank you, Dr. Freud.
There you go.
Yeah, we got in there deep underground with those graboids.
We are 45 minutes goes too darn fast. I mean, we just thank you guys. Also, want to thank Universal Studios Home Entertainment for making all this possible. FanX, what a great team we have at FanX here. John, you're one of our favorite sons. We claim you here in Utah.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be part of the family.
Michael,
this is my first FanX, and I really enjoyed it. It was nice to see John again because he and I have not set eyes on each other since we filmed it. John wanted it that way, and so I'm a writer. It's nice to see him again.
We are working on adoption papers for you, I was going to say. Listen, we are in debt again. Today is the release of Tremors, Shrieker Island. Go get it. It's online everywhere DVDs and Blu-rays are sold. And then you guys are going to go to a special interaction with your fans. Who wants to do that? So they can meet you personally over at rayvip.com.
Yeah.
There's still time to get over there and sign up. And you guys are going to go one-on-one with people.
Yep.
I guess so. So this is my first time doing that too. So this is all an adventure today for me.
We want to thank the team here at FanX too, Dan Farr, all the way down. You guys are just spectacular. So thank you. And Michael and John, drive home safely.
Great. Thank you so much.
And just leaving, thanks the fans again. You guys are incredible. I'm extremely, blessed and thankful to be kind of part of this family now. And especially we're having worked with Michael now, who has been in every single one. I couldn't, speak more highly of the man who kind of took me under his wing, both showing me the ropes of what it's like to kill a graboid, but also how to be in a Tremors movie.
And there's also, I don't know if you want to share it or not, but you do have a very tender moment that maybe you could share with us.
Oh, let's see if I can. We get up to some shenanigans when we're, let's see. When we're out hanging out, island hopping, and this is our second to last day, and we just this is our last day, and we wanted to go hang out and relax, and sometimes going around the islands.
Let me set this up. I fell asleep on the beach.
It can be a bit exhausting,
and I woke up and to this, John spooning me. You notice I'm still out cold. He obviously didn't make much of an impression for me. I was zonked out. That was after weeks of filming, and John shows me this photo he took while I was asleep on the beach.
John, lean the other way because we want to see the secret hand that's down there.
These weird. Okay, where's my?
Oh,
I can't look.
There it is, right there.
I don't know whose hand that is between my legs. I'm just hoping it's not John's. That's all.
That's a graboid coming up to stop this tomfoolery.
You see my all over tan on my leg. That's my real color.
I had to tell Michael, look, you are white as white. You're trying to get a tan. Wearing a rash guard isn't going to help, buddy. I decided it was best to protect him from the sun. That's what I'm doing. I'm just creating shade.
It has been my honor and my privilege to be here with you guys. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you over at Rave VIP.
Wonderful. And everybody, remember Burt Gummer for president. Jon Heder could be the vice president, or even the first man. You know, it could happen.
Oh, yeah. Picture. I'm already in that zone.
Take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.